It is the Matt Mosley Show, Rogue Media Network. Thank you, Ascension. Thank you, Ascension Providence. In fact, we're going to hear from one of their talented doctors over at Ascension tomorrow. Scotty's final interview with one of the Ascension doctors. We've had a great time talking to all of them, and so we'll be doing that here in the next 24 hours. And then CNB, thank you, Central National Bank. Oh, I want to see them up there. CNB. In fact, Kevin, I've been needing to get it to you. Kevin Hall, who's taken over producing this show. And what a time it was to get Kevin, the Mr. Hoosier Hall, I call him, Mr. Indiana, as the we're 24 hours away now from the Hoosiers getting ready to go for it against Oregon in a rematch in the CFP semifinal tonight. We get Ole Miss in Miami, and we got lots of excitement. So everything going on. But thank you, Central National Bank, for what you do and that incredible presenting sponsor. And Kevin, what I was going to tell you is we have new commercials.
Yep.
Been added again, and I think Nikki Collins involved, and so they put them out there on social media, and of course, as our presenting sponsor, we're going to run those on our show. And so, Kevin, all that requires is me remembering to give your to the Brian Fonville, one of the top executives over there at CNB. All right, so we'll get that to you, and I want to start running those new commercials, and so that will be fun. Now, Kevin, if we did have like a breaking news sounder, which I'm just gonna have you. Yeah, I'm gonna have you like just look for one. All right, I'm gonna put you in charge instead of trying to find whatever we were using. I like the old one, but I'm gonna just entrust that you will find the new.
How's this?
No. That's
not it. How about this one?
Better, but no. It does need to kind of what you just did with your sound. It needs to have kind of a
yeah. You want the old timey?
No, I do like that. Like when a Cronkite, it was dun 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 dun. More like when there's weather coming on the radio. I like that. And we used to have one on the radio. I may have to consult Aaron, my old radio producer. We had one that I really liked, and it would really grab everybody's attention, and they knew when they heard that it meant major business. But
gotcha.
All right, for our purposes, just use one of those dumb ones you just used. Okay. All right. Yes, that's after I tell a joke or something. We used to have like a clown noise or a clown. Clown horn when I would tell. Well, all right, Kevin,
again, I do produce a morning show with Zach Owen, so I've got plenty of the
weird. Yeah. Yes, we need. This is a very sophisticated, high level sports show, so we need something very important. All right, Kevin. Without further ado, and Kevin, I tell you, while I'm doing this, feel free to grab any like wonderful graphic or there's tons of tweets out there about this because there's a lot of pictures of this young man, and I think that would be very appropriate since it's our big story today. And we appreciate everybody with us on Twitter Premium. We want to encourage you to go sign up on YouTube. I don't boost the numbers. I just welcome you in. I reserve the right to boost. If I had any money right now, I'd just pour a bunch of money and boost the numbers. And we would then go around bragging on our enormous numbers. But I don't. So we do it the old-fashioned way. We just bring on one subscriber at a time. And I've noticed that it's just been steadily streaming up there. And it started at this, and now it's up over, 4,000 or 5,000, and we're continuing to grow. And then we'll look up in about a month, and it'll be at 20,000. So we're excited. We're excited that you guys are excited. I was not excited about how Baylor played basketball last night. We'll get to that at some point. Now is not the time for that. Without further ado, let me tell you that Baylor has signed DJ Lagway. in the portal, in the former 5-star player out of Willis, Texas, the son of Derek Lagway, has signed with the Bears. I'll remind you that, and Kevin, be looking out there on Twitter. I know you're plugged into everything, and see if any numbers come in. I've been kind of trying to look to see if we can find out what the finances were on this one, because DJ Lagway, big time get. He's not signing up. He's not trying to give the old Baylor discount, but it is unbelievable to get him, because Virginia, Florida State, several others were in on him and interested in him. And in fact, even on him today, I noticed that the new coach, John Sumrall at Florida, was saying he did not in any way try to say, tell DJ Lagway to leave or anything like that. So he was clearing up some of that. All right, that is an interesting photo. I want one, though. Give me one where you actually can see his face and everything and know what DJ looks like. There's a few of those out there. This is that's DJ kind of celebrating as if he's just thrown his first touchdown as a Baylor Bear, and he's showing some excitement there. I don't know. He is a big dude, though. He's 6'3", 230. His dad told me recently he was going to get down to about 215. He's been working out like crazy, and there's hope that he'll be even more mobile. Last time I saw him in person play was a game in College Station against the Aggies. He looked great in the first half. He made some tremendous throws, and Florida was right there in that game at halftime against the Aggies, and then A&M separated and won the game in the second half. But, he's always had the massive arm, the great measurables. He's athletic. He can move. I think if he does trim down a little bit, he'll be able to move and devastate teams with his legs even more. I think quarterbacks with Jake Spavital have shown they can put up huge numbers. It goes all the way back to when Jake was as a very young offensive coordinator at West Virginia and had Geno Smith put up monstrous numbers. And so there's a reason to believe that DJ could do that at Baylor. Now, exciting thing that we have at 2:00 today, Sam Kahn Jr. from The Athletic. And I believe, hopefully, Kevin, I was doing about a million things leading up to the show today. I hope I gave you that email. I think I did. And so Sam's going to jump on with us at 2:00 today. And he and Bruce Feldman, another great friend of the show, have written a piece already about DJ Lagway, what this means for him, what this means for the program, what it means to Baylor. This is a kid that when Sean Bell was here as the quarterback's coach, and even Jeff Grimes was the offensive coordinator going back to 2022. I'm trying to think which class he would have been a part of. This was 2026 class, this most recent. So that would have made DJ Lagway part of the 2023 recruiting class or 2024. Anyway, whatever one of those classes he was a part of, he was basically, as I recall, the number one quarterback in the country, certainly the best quarterback in Texas, and he was a legitimate 5-star quarterback, okay? Now, does he have some deficiencies? Sure. He's not the most accurate guy. He's turned the ball over too much. He's fumbled too much. It's not been an easy road for him with the Florida Gators, all right, in the SEC. But now that is and not that Big 12's tough, but the schedule you face week in, week out, when you're Florida and you're just like, you look up and it's Ole Miss one week and it's A&M the next week and it's Vandy and then it's Alabama and then, oh my gosh, it's time for Georgia and the world's biggest cocktail party. You're just, it just never lets up. And Miami was on the schedule, I believe, later in the season. It's just the way it goes. It's the way it goes. They had a bad loss. I believe it was to South Florida early last season. And so it was a rocky road, but it was, there he is last night. Good job, Kev. There is my man, DJ Lagway, visiting with Dave Aranda at the basketball game last night, which the Bears lost 70-60. against the number 3 ranked Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State might win the national championship, but last night in the first half, they looked horrible. Baylor played a part in that with their defense, but anyway, we won't get too far down that road. I will have some words to say about that. We had Scott Drew on the show yesterday, and he was really good. A lot of folks liked that interview, and in fact, we got thousands upon thousands of downloads of that interview. It was a good one, but this team's in a rough way right now, and I don't know where that first win's going to come. They're staring at a possible 0-6 start. They got Houston coming in, and they got to go on the road against Oklahoma State. That Oklahoma State looks like the best chance at that first win, which would make them 1-3. If they knock off Houston, I mean, Houston's got to lose at some point. Might as well beat a Baylor. I don't know. I mean, the Bears played good defense at times, and it was just Iowa State was not good in that game, and they had such a great chance to get a win last night. Shot the ball horribly. I mean, 25 minutes into that game, and Baylor had like 7 field goals. 25 minutes into the game. Now they were getting to the free throw line, but then missing those too. I think they shot the ball 23 times from the line. 23 times. Hey, good job. Good job getting to the line. Hit 13 of those.
You can't win a college basketball game going 19% from 3-point range, including Obi, Agbum, and Tunde combining for what 2 for 15. That's not going to work.
It's bad. It's bad. Now here's what works. Defense works. Offensive rebounding, which are good at that. They need to lean into their strengths. But if you're going to shoot that horribly, it's hard to overcome. And they had to work hard even to get it up. I think they might have ended up shooting 30% for the game. And most of the game, it was down there more around 22 to 25%. And they finally hit a few buckets down the stretch to make it look a tiny bit better. But it was, what's 31. That?
Huh? 31%. 31% for the game. You're right there.
Yeah. All right, but back to the happy, exciting news, and it's coming in from everywhere. So, I love it. Kev, keep any photos you have. Like I'm looking at one right now. I'm going to send you from On3 that has him in his Florida uniform. We cannot do enough right now on there. I'm going to send this to you as we speak. And let me see here. If I just want to make sure. Baylor said this is such an exciting news. What I don't want to miss is like the Colorado kid or any of these other people that are coming into town. There's a Stanford edge rusher. There's a safety in town today from Kansas State. Joe Klanderman starting to get some players. The Baylor's new defensive coordinator. In fact, the edge rusher out of Kansas State, he did land him. But the big news and boy, I'm trying, I'd like to know exactly who to give credit to this because I saw it from all places, like Hayes Fawcett from On3. I know Bruce Feldman and Sam Kahn were on this thing. Grayson Grunhafer, who comes on with this from Siegmund 365, comes on with us a lot. Good. See, this is perfect, Kev. This is why I knew. First of all, it was just because you were in a Christian rock band, and I have longtime ties to the CCM world. I thought that would hurt. And then I worked with you in the TV pregame show that we did, and I thought, I like this guy, even though I probably irritated you at times with my lack of structure. Although, I mean, you do not have the look of a man who embraces structure at all costs. Okay, we've got did Baylor put this one out? Is that, I can't even, where are my real glasses? Is that Spavital or is that looks like old Sean Bell for a second there. That's Sean Bell. All right. That's the old Baylor quarterbacks coach who's now the assistant head coach for University of Houston and the quarterbacks coach there. And that must have been when he was being recruited by Baylor. I mean, this is one, if they had have gotten DJ Lagway out of high school, it would have been Baylor's probably greatest recruit ever. Now people say, well, Matt, what about this guy? What about that guy? I mean, Robert Strait, Odell James, Gerard Douglas. I mean, yeah, I know them all. Anthony Ray back in the day before he got hurt. These were all like huge blue chippers. And then since they've started doing all the 4-star and 5-star and kind of going back even before the Bryles days, they certainly had some. Stidham was a good one. Stidham was a big time. They've had some great ones. But in terms of like DJ Lagway's pedigree, what he was considered coming out of high school, just it's unreal. It's unreal. Baylor, honestly, from a quarterback standpoint, I think of Stidham. RG3, got passed over. Texas was recruiting him as a defensive back. He got recruited to Houston by Art, and then Art brought him to Baylor. And he was obviously went on to win the Heisman, but he was nowhere near the highly sought after touted recruit that Lagway was. Now, Lagway, I don't want to try to fool anybody. This has been an uneven deal at Florida. He's had moments where you're like, yeah, but listen, Baylor can do what every other team does. What did they do when Auburn got OU's quarterback from the year before, who had lost his job at OU? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is a great get. This guy's incredible. Oh my gosh, look who Oklahoma got. So everybody does it. Everybody does it. It's like the Florida fans are like, we like DJ, but we're not really sure. And so the next team that gets him is like, this is incredible. This is awesome. Okay, let me see here. Oh my gosh, somebody's put him in that green and gold. And what I always look at is, I don't know how they do this, because that actually does look like him. Somehow somebody is able to, what do you call that, Kevin? Super photoshopping.
Photoshop, yep.
Oh, Kevin, you're somewhere where there's lots of activity. Watch out. Watch out. I'm going to have to watch out bringing you on. And I love that old school. That's a little bit more of that old school Baylor look with the gold. Ooh, go back to that version of the helmet. That gold is that's more like it right there. Okay. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Because sometimes, when they post things, they'll throw it out there and it'll have like another player. I noticed the other day when Sorsby put out something, it had like a former. Let me look real quick. I wanted to see what DJ had posted himself. And Kevin, you may have already posted one of those. Which one what's Lagway's actual? No, that's not it. Let's see what Lagway's, I want to see what he's saying. There he is. Okay. At Derek Lagway. It makes sense. He's got about, he and I have, okay. There he is. Thank you, Gainesville. Oh, he hasn't. Okay, he said some nice things on December 4th, and then when he left Gainesville on December 15th, but he does not post a lot, which is totally fine by me. But he has not posted from his official Twitter account. Now, Instagram, Kev, are you an IG guy? Yeah, take a peek at Lagway's Instagram to see. But I did want to say I love, because he's done such a great job covering Baylor, Grayson Grundhafer. And I want to encourage people to sign up for Sikkim 365. They're great friends of mine. And in fact, in the early days, I had worked with them and was kind of part of those opening times with them. And right now, if you went to Grayson Grundhafer's Twitter account, he's got a bunch of Lagway's Florida highlights up. And Grayson's tweet that came out about an hour ago, it was boom. Florida quarterback DJ Lagway is committed to Baylor. The former number one quarterback, Gatorade Player of the Year, 2024 class, posted 4,400 total yards and 29 TDs in 2 seasons with the Gators. The Baylor legacy has 2 years of eligibility. All right. Now, we don't know what the deal is yet. Okay. And by the way, I have put in a request for Dave Aranda, Spavital, or Rhett, the quarterback's coach. So anyway, I've at least put it out there. I don't know if they're good. I mean, they're in the middle of hosting all these guys that are there for NIL, but I did want to give them the opportunity. Love this. Keep it going, Kev. This is fun. all these photos, putting DJ in these new uniforms, in the Baylor uniforms. This is big. This is a big get for the Bears. And let me just talk about like kind of what it does for, and again, I will fully admit, I didn't think this would happen. Not because Baylor, I didn't think, it's not that I didn't trust them or something. I thought it would be too much money. And I thought it was like putting too much pressure on a group that was already struggling in kind of lame duck status, and that they needed like 30 to 35 players. And I felt like if they allocated like $3 million to one, that it would be like, well, what can they put around him? And so I thought maybe you go with a more discount rated quarterback from one of these other places, or maybe even FCS. See if you could hit on one of these guys like Ole Miss did with Trinidad Chambliss, like teams have done, some of these Division II players, even some of these North Dakota State players over the years. Some of those players, that was pre-NIL, so those guys actually stayed at their place. But now that it's happened, and now that I've seen KT Thomas and the center Colton Price and others leave Baylor, DJ Reed, who went to Florida. I mean, Phoenix Jackson just went to Arkansas. I got to think that, that one looks really fake. They've got it's like the uniform's not big enough for how big he actually is. He's bigger than that. But that's DJ. And when I first saw DJ Lagway, I saw him in person, and we were at it was Baylor football alumni. And I was doing a show from there, and a bunch of those old dudes from, his dad's age and older were down there having a big barbecue. Anthony Ray, Papa Ray, they call him, and a bunch of those guys. And JJ Joe, the late, great JJ Joe, would have stopped by. And we were all down there gathered, hanging out, having a good time, visiting. And I look over and I see this huge man with like this little boy face. Like, I'm just like this. I mean, it was just so funny, because it was just like, you could tell, really young guy, but this massive body. Okay, this is 4 years ago probably now, and that was DJ Lagway. And he'd come for a visit to Baylor. It was a Baylor spring game, and Sean Bell and everybody, and they stayed after him, even though they knew they probably weren't going to get him, and it might have been the early days of the NIL, and you knew he was going to get like a huge, great deal at Florida, and he did. And that was, Billy Napier, that was what was going to maybe keep Billy Napier around at Florida, was starting DJ Lagway and the excitement that their fan base had about DJ Lagway. It didn't work out there. Now, part of it was, their coach was struggling, everything about them, their offense, they didn't have enough around him. He made mistakes. He certainly made mistakes, but for a young quarterback to get thrown in, it can do something to your confidence. It can break you down. Now, that said, it can also toughen you and make you better for the future. And I think that's what Baylor is banking on, that this kid got thrown into the fire. SEC every week, Auburn, Alabama, Florida State, Miami, didn't matter. They're playing all the Florida teams and the SEC. Florida had a hellacious schedule. And Lagway put up some good numbers. He really did. And at times he looked brilliant. At times he looked inaccurate and made poor decisions and threw bad interceptions. All of that happens to young quarterbacks. Unfortunately, in the NFL and now in college football, you don't have much time. They don't go, well, let's let him take his lumps for a couple of years, and then we'll see how he does his junior year. They want it, and they want it now. And they fired that coach that brought him in, and it was time for him to move on. Now, he's gone to all the camps. There he is at the Under Armour camp. And to what I was saying, that's back when he was coming out of high school. All right? That's how big he was a lot of these kids grow once they get to school and they show up on your campus kind of gangly, little skinny and tall. I mean, do you think even Peyton Manning or Eli or any of those guys showed up at Tennessee and Ole Miss as just fully formed humans? No, they had to get in the weight room, put a little weight on. I mean, Peyton never put much weight on. Eli didn't really either now that I think about it, but they had to get bigger and stronger and have their arm strength catch up. This guy arrived as a fully formed adult looking dude. All right. And this is like, I mean, again, if he were still in high school, this would be Baylor's biggest recruit ever. This is Odell James was huge back in the right around 96 or 97 when they got him. And the great Bob Alpert coached him at Aldine MacArthur. It was out of Houston area, Aldine MacArthur. And then Bob Alpert moved to Duncanville. But he coached him, and Baylor got Odell over Nebraska. And the rest is history. Odell just didn't work out. It wasn't totally his fault. Had coaching changes and just couldn't get him right. Maybe didn't have the right offense for him. Probably should have tailored it more around him. Maybe if Chuck Reedy had stayed, maybe they could have figured out how to get something out of him, but they didn't. And by the way, I still love Odell. And Baylor, when Baylor had that scandal, somehow Odell got thrown under the bus, and I always thought that was unfair. Of all people involved in that Bryles era scandal, I think Odell James was one of the last people that should have taken a big hit, and yet somehow he was named in the NCAA report. So anyway, a very exciting day for the Bears. Okay, I want to remind you, because we do need to get into tonight's game, and Miami Hurricanes tonight, 6:30 kickoff. Miami is favored by 3.5. Kevin, let's keep a close eye on that line, because there could be movement today, and there could be some huge bets who either drive that line up or down. Miami people love betting Miami. So I looked about 3 hours ago, and it was at 3.5. Yeah.
That's crazy. 3.5 for a team that I would say most people would say going into the playoff would say that didn't even belong. And now they're a 3.5-point favorite. I don't know. Although
you think that Miami shouldn't be favored at all?
Oh no, I given the way that they've played, I totally see it. I just think if you go back 2 weeks and say, "Hey, here's the deal. This is what's going to happen," man. If you could put some money back then, woo-wee,
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. The way they entered and the way everybody gave the game to A&M, and then even after that, gave the game to Ohio State based on experience. We probably should have looked more now in retrospect at
their defense.
the unbelievable defense, but also Ohio State having a young, inexperienced quarterback. They've been so great, Ohio State has, even in the playoff, and even over the past few years, you just kind of think whoever they have back there. Think about it. They brought in a guy from Kansas State who was an okay quarterback. I don't think he was great, and yet he was enough. He was enough to lead them to a national title.
But
I think we thought Julian Sayin put up great numbers this year.
If you had looked at Ohio State's actual schedule, though, other than the Texas game, and you keeping in mind that was Texas with Arch's first start, if you look at their whole schedule, that's what we said when IU was playing them in the Big Ten Championship. They weren't tested at all.
Oh, I know. But
it was
we don't base it on that. We sort of sometimes base it on what they've been in the past. And they've been monsters in the past. And they were just coming off a national title. So teams like that, we forgive whatever weak schedule they may have and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Oregon honestly had, other than the Indiana and matching up and then winning against USC, Oregon had, you could poke holes in the schedule they faced. And so now that will be the rematch tomorrow night. We'll focus, Kevin, on tonight's game. And of course, we'll continue to talk about Baylor Landing. I can't imagine out there the Baylor people wanting to talk about that. Kevin, let's encourage them to on our YouTube page. And Kevin, let's be monitoring their comments because I love putting their comments up on the screen. But the Baylor people are very, very excited to talk about this right now. And if you're watching us on Twitter right now, just let me encourage you to also go subscribe to our YouTube, the Matt Mosley Show on YouTube. And then it has a whole area where you can comment and all that. And I love this. I mean, Kevin, my wish is Kevin's command, or however you say that. Bear the truth. Well, go put that up there again, Kev. I like that. Bear the truth. I love Bear the truth. He's always out there. It reminds me of Please Bear With Me. That's Scotty's pod. Okay. DJ is a good marketing move to rally the donor base. That's about it. Well, okay. That's a fair assessment. But like, what's wrong with that? Like you had a donor base that's kind of sitting there on the sideline like, well, let's see who the next coach is. I mean, do I really want to throw a huge amount of money at what feels like a lame duck coaching staff? And everybody's leaving, all right? Even the really good players are leaving. Do I really want to throw any money at this? And then all of a sudden, Baylor lands DJ Lagway. Now, how were they able to do this? Well, they lost those recruits. So the silver lining always was those four-star, like 3 of those 4-star recruits who right at the altar left Baylor at the altar the day or two before. That's what allowed them to have more money to be able to go out and do a deal to DJ Lagway. Now, if they end up having a horrible season and Lagway ends up transferring and they end up getting a new coach, yes, then all of it's for naught. But what is wrong with giving a fan base a little excitement, a little something to think about, dream about? And DJ Lagway, he has deficiencies. Believe me, what I don't want to do is make him out to be Superman. All right, this is not Cam Newton showing up. He kind of looks like him in terms of his body type and the way he moves. Not quite as athletic as Cam was, but certainly size-wise. Cam was a little taller. Cam was about 6'5", 230, where Lagway's 6'3", 230. Lagway's going to thin out. He's been working out like crazy, and his dad tells me he wants to get his speed up a little bit so to be able to help the Bears more in the run. One of the tough things for this Baylor season was they didn't Sawyer was a pretty fast guy. He's good at running, and they didn't use the run at all. And then on the other side, they got burned with a quarterback run game constantly. I mean, it wasn't just Avery Johnson with Kansas State. It was just over and over. It was the Auburn quarterback. And then it was, just game after game, they just got crushed. Whoever Utah put out there. Utah had a backup quarterback, and they just throw him in, and he just crushed everybody. I think against Baylor, he had 6 carries for like 166 yards. I mean, he was a backup quarterback. He was their backup quarterback. It's like when they threw him in there, you're like, okay, this guy's going to run, and he still gashed Baylor. That's one of the reasons Baylor had to go find a new defensive coordinator and bring in some new defensive staff members. Here's another. Why is everybody? Wait, is this? This isn't Scotty, is it? Because Scotty has
very well could
be. I like it. He is. This is all caps. Scotty, where is our breaking news sounder? I keep meaning to text you. I was trying to leave you alone a little bit, but I need our breaking news sounder. Scotty says he is Superman. He's the most talented quarterback we've had since Seth, if not RG3. Okay, he is not Superman. All right, this is Scotty getting a little carried away, and he doesn't like me. He doesn't like me tempering anything. I understand we've had that happen before. Scotty, Scotty's saying he's the best since Seth Russell. From a recruiting standpoint, it's hard to say because again, he's a couple of years removed from high school. Because if you use what he was rated in high school, yes, he's the biggest since freaking Odell James. I mean, you go way, way back. It's not even fair to the kid to act like he's Superman. He's built like it. He has traits that suggest that, but his numbers and the way he's played for 2 years do not suggest that Baylor. I mean, he's not Sam Levitt from Arizona State. He's probably not. He doesn't even, have the efficiency that Brendan Sorsby has, the guy going to Tech. What he does have is elite traits, and what he represents is excitement, hope. Like, if this guy stays around for 2 years, you could attach some things to him. I know there are probably people out there going, what does this mean for Aranda? Oh my gosh, does this mean we could have like 2 more years of Aranda? Well, listen, we should all be so lucky, because if we get 2 more years with Aranda, it means next year that Baylor won 8 games and went to a bowl game. Then I'm okay with that. Then I'm okay with Aranda staying if that is the result, them turning the corner and being exciting, because just a few days ago, no players were left. They weren't getting anybody in the portal, and nothing was happening. And it looked like next year would be just like a tank year. Just go out there, flop around, and look like Oklahoma State looked this past year, and have a bunch of shirtless guys go up to the top, go up to the second deck, and hang out for a little while. Okay, so he's, let's say, from a marketing Pied Piper standpoint, he is Superman. From a expectation standpoint of like what we should expect for him to do on the field, he's not Superman. Okay, he's just not. All you have to do is look at his numbers okay. Okay. I mean, tell Scotty he can just come back on if he wants to do all this. If Lagway can create buy-in from some other talented transfers, he can change the program, especially in Spav's system. Now, I agree with all that. So it's a huge score. Good stuff. Please bear with me and check out the podcast. I would if Scotty's out there right now, I would suggest an emergency podcast. Get Terrence Ganaway, sound the horns. I'll come on. Scotty suggests that I, turned him down years ago or didn't get back to him or something. Now is the time to get me. I would be up for that. I would come on as a guest. I don't know if he really wants me. I may drive the numbers down. Okay, we do have Sam Kahn Jr., major guest, coming up at 2 o'clock. Let's take care of our sponsors. Central National Bank. Thank you, CNB. Thank you for what you do. Incredible. Thank you, Ascension Providence. I can't wait. One more interview from Scotty with our talented team of doctors out there. What will he think of next? An allergist, a pediatric cardiologist. I mean, they have everything. You almost just sit around thinking of things like, what about a bone doctor for pediatrics? Yes, they have that. They have that for pediatric people who break bones and that kind of thing. They have everything you could imagine. Central National Bank. Can't wait to see those new commercials. We'll get those up starting tomorrow. And then we're going to hear from one of our talented doctors at Ascension Providence tomorrow as well. All of that coming up next. By the way, I'll start getting you ready for tonight's game. That is next on The Mosley Show.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Never deposit someone else's money into your bank account. Scammers will send you money or overpay you and then ask you to refund a portion of the money back to them. This is a scam.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Everybody at EcoLife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean with bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes?
No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with Drops. Made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
It's time to start something new at Allen Samuels. Drive in with huge savings on all of our Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. From a trail-conquering Jeep Grand Cherokee, towing in style with a Ram Heavy Duty, or cruising the city in a sporty and luxurious Ram 1500, we've got the perfect ride for you. Stop by Allen Samuels in Waco, where we make car buying easy.
Come by, let's be friends.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner, overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
I had to make a wardrobe change. I got so worked up over this Lagway thing. Let's loosen it up just a little bit. I had started out the show with a little fleece on. No reason, because it's like hot outside, but I just that's what I threw on this morning. And went across Dallas, went over to SMU campus and got a Shug's bagel with my daughter who's home from college. I think she has to go back to A&M, sadly, on Sunday. But what an incredible time that has been, having her home, and then got to share the news with her that DJ Lagway had decided to sign with the Bears. Now, we got a lot of wise A type comments out there. I guess I'd said something like, now more people will follow him, and people are saying, well, they won't have any money left for those people. I welcome, smart A comments like that. That's fine. I just sent you, Kev, it's got this great, the setup takes a little bit here, but it's his father when he had that famous run against NC State, and it made every sports center back in the day. I got to think this is around 98 or 99, something like that. I'm just looking at the uniforms. And Lagway at that point in the game had 5 carries for 58 yards. And he basically, I'm watching the replay right now, he ran over the entire, I think NC State was ranked at this time. He runs into a big pile and then keeps running over people and carries everybody from NC State into the end zone. And this was the great Derek Lagway, who I've been communicating with today. And I tried to get Derek to jump on with. Derek said, well, I'll put the young Lagway. I'll put him on with you here in a week or so. I'm like, no, why don't you come on today? So anyway, I'll still try to get him on, but he knows I'm being busybody, nosy. I'm interested in all the things that come with this signing, including, I think people are going to want to know, where how much is left to be able to monitor. Now, 2:00, we will have a major guest on with us, Sam Kahn Jr., who has written about this and who's been all over the story. And he and Bruce Feldman wrote about that for The Athletic. Sam Kahn's a good friend, and so he'll be able to share some thoughts on this. But somebody said to me, a lot of people are responding to me via Twitter, this is a positive. I thought my Bears were cruising back to the Chuck Reedy chicken sandwich era at the Elite Cafe. I miss the old Elite Cafe, man. I love that place. Back in the day, still health camp. Still have my beloved health camp out there. Get that bacon cheeseburger when I'm in town. And then across the way, Trujillo's was always good. El Chico out there on the Circle was always a favorite of mine. And then if you're looking for a place to stay, although they're not sponsoring right now, they need to be. The Waco at Element Hotel, that Weston property, that's a Bonvoy property out there. I got a great friend who is the GM of that hotel right there off the square. That's where I recommend people stay when they come into Waco. Somebody says here, Dr. Buddy Riddell, are you really a doctor? I bet he is. I had said some nice things about this get, and he sounded off maybe 2 years ago, talking about, because I said, hey, this is a big get for Baylor and it's going to lead to more players coming. He said maybe 2 years ago when he was still an elite prospect before Florida ruined his development. Okay, listen, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I don't know if they ruined anything. He got thrown in. SEC competition. He's the reason they brought Napier back for one more season, because he actually offered hope. And they looked pretty good down the stretch that season. So I mean, it's his freshman season, his sophomore season, he came back and they were ready to roll with him, and they got off to a tough start. They lost that game to South Florida, and then everybody was waiting for Napier. They actually won a game when Napier got fired. So I mean, he was playing while the whole fan base wanted a coach fired. Well, welcome to Baylor. Welcome to another place where they want the coach fired. The good thing about Baylor is if you perform well and you win some games, everybody will kind of die down and not be going crazy calling for Aranda's job. Let's think about the start they have. They were going to have an extremely tough start, but SMU, that game got wiped out. So now they have a tough opener because it's a neutral site game against an SEC opponent. Hey, he's played against them. He's played SEC opponents for 2 years. Maybe he's the perfect guy to have back there against an SEC opponent. That is Auburn, and that is going to be in Atlanta, and that'll be on the, 29th to 30th, whatever, of August as they open up the season, and that will be on that neutral site. So that is exciting. And, one of the things, Kevin, remind me with Sam Khan Jr., let's talk about this Washington quarterback. That's become a huge story. And, in fact, today he is the kid that is being sued by Washington, and, boy, the Big Ten is behind them. He is trying to break a NIL deal that he did for, I believe, $4 million to go elsewhere. I think LSU's been involved. Shocking. And DeMond Williams Jr., and this has become an enormous story in college football. Today, the news is his agent has said, this guy's very talented, but I'm pulling out on this. The agent was in a weird spot because the agent represented Jed Fish, the head coach at Washington, as well as this kid. So if he was to keep representing Fish while taking this kid somewhere else from Washington, it was a huge conflict of interest. Now, if you're wondering how big a role these agents have had in how screwed up college athletics is, the answer is a lot. They do. It's a mess, and they don't honor contracts. And it happened to Baylor with they had the Rob Wright, the point guard, and Baylor had signed him to a nice, big, healthy, $1 million deal, and he signed it. And you're like, okay, we got everything signed. And before the ink had dried, the Mormons came in and said, "Hey, Rob, how's $3 million a year sound? How would you like $3 million?" And he's like, "I'd love that. I'd love that. In fact, tell me where the tabernacle is. Tell me where I can show up. Tell me where I can get a hymnal." Do they have hymnals in the LDS church? If you're listening to us, let me know. I bet they have a good hymnal. They
got a great
traditional choir. Oh, well, the Tabernacle Choir, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir is phenomenal.
You want to see that Lagway run?
Oh, good. Yes, Kevin. Let's take a peek. This will bring back memories to those of us at a certain age. If you're 50 or over, you remember watching this. Is that somehow had just gotten out of Baylor? Oh my goodness. That was an NC State team that was that late 90s, Kevin? Can you tell? I'm trying to think when Lagway was there. Can we watch that one more time? This was Derek Lagway, DJ Lagway's father. Okay, look at him. He's kind of in a pile. He breaks free, gives that guy the stiff arm. He's got people holding on to him. There's the touchdown. Okay, didn't have replay back then. They might have tried to rule him down at the 1. No, sir. You reward that with the touchdown. Back in the day, we didn't have stinking replay. All right, you sniffed the end zone. It was a touchdown. And that was his father. His father was a load, just a huge dude. I mean, and when you see DJ's head, he's just got that big noggin. His dad's the same way. Enormous. I mean, the helmet size, I cannot even imagine. Derek Lagway was a load. After that run in that game, I think they flashed it up there. He had about 5 carries for 58 yards. That was around halftime. I don't know what he finished with that NC State game, but that was a big. They had a big road win over NC State one time. I think it was when Reedy was still coaching, and Daryl Gardner had a big day. Had a couple of sacks in that game that they won on the road. That was a home and home with NC State, and then that game was against number 23 NC State. The Bears at home. I don't think they were particularly good that year, but I think they might have won that game, and that would have been circa 98 or 99. I'm having a hard time. No, maybe 90. Maybe 90. I'm trying to think when Dirty Dave Roberts showed up on the scene. So it might have been 96. I got out of Baylor in 95, and I think Derek's a little bit younger than I am. So we might have overlapped a little bit, but there he is. There is his son, DJ Lagway. And we will have Sam Khan Jr. coming on from The Athletic to discuss this any moment now.
1998.
Okay.
That run. That
Okay.
run is 1998.
All right. I'm going to text Sam while we're. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin is like the greatest fact checker. I knew it was kind of in that range. So 98, I think I would have been in law school. No, I might have been starting my journalism career at the Dallas Morning News about 98. And by 2003, I was covering Bill Parcells and the Dallas Cowboys. I'll just say to our guy, Kevin, we're ready whenever. All right. We won't rush him, but I had told him 2:00. So we'll be looking for him. We'll see him show up on StreamYard, and then we'll throw him right on there. But lots to get ready for tonight. But the big news, Baylor lands their man in DJ Lagway. And it is, there he is, transfers from Florida. I need to look, Kevin, at what John Sumrall was saying about him today, because Sumrall did comment on DJ Lagway, the new coach at Florida. And I want to look and see. And I noticed, I think his comments were that, hey, we didn't run him off. You know, I think it had been reported at the time that there were initial conversations and they didn't really like what they heard. And so he went ahead and hit the portal. Sumrall seemed to be pushing back on that a little bit in some comments that he had today. Oh, by the way, tonight is the CFP semifinal. All right, we've got Miami and Ole Miss. We got Golding. And Kev, take a peek if you can here in a second for that Golding. Just do a Pete Golding search, and I want at some point to play that his little talk from yesterday. He had some comments where he kind of talked about, hey, we're not talking about who's not here. Lane, somebody asked him about Lane Kiffin, and he had enough. And you know what? Let's leave the S-bomb that he dropped at the end of it. All right, this is YouTube. I think we can get away with it, Kev. I don't even think you have to bleep it, although you have all kinds of sounds you can use to bleep. What I'm looking at right now is if our man, we always have Grayson Grundhafer on. I was just making sure there were no new signees. Baylor also had a kid from Colorado yesterday, the wide receiver in. They got a kid from K-State, the edge rusher. The player that had come to Baylor from A&M left, which, again, he never did anything for Baylor, so I think they're okay with that. No harm done there. Samu, I believe is his name. He's leaving. And then in town today, some people saw him after the basketball game last night, was the Stanford edge rusher. All right. And I got to look and remind myself exactly, because I'm trying to familiarize myself with a lot of these different guys that are coming or going. Also, a safety from Kansas State in town visiting today, one day after Ryan Davis, the edge rusher from K-State, committed to the Bears. Kev, I just heard from Sam, and Sam is about to log on. It's 1:59, so he's on time as always. And we'll get Sam Kahn Jr. in. He and Bruce Feldman wrote a story. In fact, let's see. I was going to see that was earlier. So if you subscribe to The Athletic, which you should, you can see that. You can see the story that's up right now from Sam Kahn Jr. and Bruce Feldman. All right. Sam, at some point, Sam's covered the Big 12 for a long time and was at ESPN.com. And Sam and I have known each other for a long time, but he knows how long Baylor, kind of what this meant to Baylor and how long they had recruited him and the legacy thing. And I mean, this was, again, when they were recruiting him, when he was coming out of high school about 3 years ago or whatever, 3 or 4 years ago, and even before that, because he was a huge recruit from the time he was a freshman or sophomore in high school. He was considered the best quarterback in Texas. And honestly, I think he had risen to the number one quarterback in the country at some point in that class. And I mean, a lot of it was just, he was so dominant in high school. And then he goes to Florida. And again, nobody's won at Florida consistently in a long time. I mean, you really have to go back to Urban. I mean, they've been through coach after coach after coach. So, and they've been after a ton of quarterbacks. I mean, name me over the past 15, 20 years, like a quarterback that's come out of Florida and that has become some kind of huge, great quarterback in the NFL. We all know that Cam ends up transferring to Auburn. So Auburn gets the credit for Cam. And so it's been a long, long time since Florida. So I think if you're going to say, well, DJ didn't perform well at Florida, well, that also includes a lot of coaches and a lot of quarterbacks over the last 15, 20 years. One of the Gators quarterbacks transferred to West Virginia and actually put up pretty good numbers at West Virginia. I think that was Will Greer Jr. All these names are coming back to me over the years. Sam Kahn Jr. has covered all these teams and covered the Big 12 for a long time. And I see him logged on now. So let's bring Sam Kahn Jr. on the Matt Mosley Show, the YouTube version. Sam, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. You got a new setup going on here. How's this going so far?
You know, the only thing I miss about radio is the fact that I no cameras, nobody could really see me. I could wear whatever. As you see, I still kind of wear whatever. But I do put on like a collared shirt. You know, I try to look somewhat presentable. But, there's some different things about it. But it's been fun. And as you know, I mean, podcasts went from being more of an audio medium. And then overnight, it's like if you didn't have video with it, it wasn't even a podcast, right? It didn't even count. So you've watched this explode. And, boy, you do some great podcasting and do a lot of things. And then you and Bruce Feldman wrote this story about DJ Lagway on The Athletic. And Sam, you've documented the Aranda era. You know how Baylor fans feel. And you know the only reason he's the head coach right now is because of the scandal and the weird timing of it. And nobody was around to fire him. And so it's very awkward the way things have kind of ended up at Baylor. This to me feels like a haymaker. This is like Dave Aranda knows he's been given one last opportunity. And again, we can pick it apart. And I know Lagway was inconsistent, and I know all the deficiencies he had at Florida. But what you can't take away from him, Sam, is this was one of the great recruits from 3 or 4 years ago coming out of high school. And from a measurables, ability, upside, whatever you want to call it, this is a pretty dang big deal for the Bears to land him.
Oh, there's no question. He still, for my money, was one of the 10 best transfer quarterbacks available. And the only reason I would put him in the back half of that 10 is because of the inconsistency and the injuries. But if you were grading it on physical talent alone, he's probably number one. Like he's more physically gifted than just about any quarterback you'll run across. And when you guys get to see him in practice in the spring, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Like, he is an impressively well put together young man. Like, the first time I saw him as a high school recruit, when I believe it was coming out of his junior year, and he was at the Elite 11 regional in Austin, and you watch that with the torque that he throws with and his size and the arm strength and the velocity that he throws the ball with, and he's just big, he's broad-chested. He checks a lot of boxes for what you want in a quarterback. So then becomes the question of why did he struggle at Florida? And I think you pointed out the coaching situation wasn't great. Obviously, a midseason coaching change didn't really work out very well. That team overall struggled as a whole. And this is a chance for a fresh start for him. And I think a really good union between him and Jake Spavital, who has a really decorated history of developing and working with really talented quarterbacks and making them productive. I am of the belief that DJ Lagway will be a 3,000-yard passer next year for Baylor. That's what Sawyer did the last 2 years at Baylor. And if you give Spav some time to work with a guy and he's able to start from the start to finish, then I think you end up with a really productive quarterback. And that's been the history that Spavital's had. So definitely I agree with you. A really big deal, a really big splash for Baylor, and a chance to keep succeeding at a position where that was the one thing you could count on the last couple of years. Once Sawyer Robertson took over, you could count on that, on the quarterback being productive and that part of the team doing well. And I think you add a talent of Lagway's ability and pair it with Spav, and I think you got a chance here to make something special happen.
Now, did the Bears get any kind of a legacy discount? I know sometimes you talk to agents and they want to get the price out there. I asked Derek, who I've known for many years, his dad, and Derek's obviously playing probably the numbers a little closer to the vest. The agents, especially if they feel like they got a great deal, right? They like to get those numbers out there. Can you give us a general idea of where you think this contract came in? And is it you think it's a 2-year deal or like a 1 year with an option kind of thing? How do you think this thing will play out?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I would say that early in his recruitment, from what I heard, was that DJ and his camp were trying to find numbers close to the top of the market at transfer quarterback, which, as we know, with Brennan Sorsby and Josh Hoover, is kind of approaching that $5 million range. It became clear from what I was told that after the first few days of the portal, that he probably wasn't going to get that. General managers I talked to around the sport said they probably pegged him for 1.5 to 2 million a year as probably the target range for DJ. I don't know if that's what Baylor ended up giving him, but I know Baylor wouldn't have been able to be in this if this was like a $4 or $5 million recruitment. That's just not the level that they're going to play at for a transfer quarterback. Could they spend 2 on one? Yeah, probably so. I would think they can. And so I don't know what the exact number is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in that 1.5 to 2 range. Whether or not it's a multi-year deal, I don't know for a fact if it is. But even if it were, multi-year deals at this point really are kind of that in name only, because there really is nothing that can hold a player there. I mean, really, it's just a buyout essentially. If the school decides to structure a buyout into the deal. But, I've talked to agents and I've talked to general managers, and for the most part, if you do a multi-year deal with somebody, chances are if that player has a really good year, they're going to try to renegotiate after 1 year anyway. So I don't know how germane or how relevant a multi-year deal is, because we could all be starting over again in a year from now, just because that's the nature of the sport right now, and everybody's pretty much year to year.
And everybody knows kind of where Aranda sits with the new AD and watching that. So like a 1 year deal kind of makes the most sense. It's remarkable because I think back on some of Baylor's. I mean, I think you're a bit younger than I am, but I mean, Odell James was a monster recruit back in the day that they landed in about 96 or 97. Obviously, this guy's different because he's not coming straight from high school. But as you said, he was like up there with the top quarterbacks in the country, depending on what service you use or whatever. And to your point, even if you just see him hanging out at the barbecue, they had some kind of thing like for the alumni. They were actually grilling a bunch of steaks. And I was standing around with some alums, and I remember, and he had that little baby face, but he was already fully formed, kind of a massive dude as like a sophomore or junior in high school. When I talked to his dad, Sam, recently, he was doing some workouts. He was working with that former BYU quarterback, John Beck, I believe is his name. And the thought was, let's lean him up a little bit and let's get him where he can move a little better. Sawyer didn't run this year. I'm sure you noticed that. They just didn't have any threat of the quarterback run, which other teams, that's an enormous threat to have. What do you think he is, DJ, in that area? And how did he do at Florida in that? And do you think maybe that's an area where they're looking to maybe get some more help from him?
Yeah, I think he can. I don't think it's going to be the first thing he does. He is a thrower first, but he certainly can throw on the run. He certainly can move. And I will be interested to see if we do see Jake Spavital use him in the run game in some creative ways, the way he did Sawyer Robertson in 2024. You might remember when Sawyer took that job from DeQuan Finn early in the 2024 season, you saw a decent amount of quarterback run game in then. And so not utilizing as much, maybe a little bit of a shift in philosophy. I would be interested to see how much they use him in that way. He doesn't seem to me to be a natural runner in that, in the way that you would think of, like, say, a Johnny Manziel, who Spav, coach once upon a time, Texas A&M. He's not that type of scrambler, but he's a big guy with a long stride who when he gets moving, can be hard to bring down and certainly can get you a first down and chew up some yards. I don't think it'll be a major part of his game, but I do think it is something they can use and something he can do.
Does this resonate at all with other players, or is it so much about the almighty dollar now, everybody's just trying to get theirs? Is there anything about Baylor landing a big name with great pedigree that maybe grabs some players' attention that they might not already have had?
I think money and fit and who you're coached by is priority number one. But when you're comparing similar programs and if all your programs at a transfer or a recruit is considering, if they're all in a similar boat in all those categories, this probably serves as a tiebreaker. Certainly if you're a receiver, that wants to come to Baylor, this helps because receivers want to know what quarterback they're going to play with. And DJ Lagway's name, I think, still carries a lot of respect. It still is very, I think, highly thought of in college football circles, even though it didn't go quite the way we thought it would in his 2 years there. And I do think in the state of Texas, if you are somebody who is from Texas that Baylor's trying to recruit, whether it's a transfer or recruit, he was a big deal here. He was a big deal in the state. People know that name. People know what kind of player he is. He was in a Gatorade ad. I mean, this is a young man who's really been out there in terms of his image and being able to do endorsement and all that stuff. So he's a face and he's a name that people know. So I do think it certainly doesn't hurt Baylor. That's for sure.
Does he remind, when he was coming out and even at Florida, I try to think of like big mobile quarterbacks, and Cam comes to mind, but Cam was even bigger. And Cam was probably more athletic, right? Just from a running standpoint. So that's a tough one because that guy went on to play in a Super Bowl and be an MVP in the NFL. So that's probably not even a fair one. But are there any of these high school kids that you've kind of watched over the years, whether it be Elite 11 or otherwise, that DJ kind of reminds you of it all?
Not really, because very few are built like DJ. You hear a coach say that DJ is almost built like a defensive end.
Yeah,
and he's built. I guess the only one that I would think of that has a similar physical makeup to him is Lenora Sellers at South Carolina. But I think DJ is a much more polished passer than Lenora Sellers is. He's certainly, I think he's a little bit more reliable as a drop back passer than Lenoris. Lenoris is more of a pure runner, like a downhill, just run over guys type of guy. That's really not DJ's game. They're different styles of quarterbacks, but you just don't find players that are of his frame, size, broad shoulder, strength, the whole nine. Like the torque he throws with is just something to watch. And so I don't think he has a lot of comps in his position.
Sam, is anybody Sam Kahn Jr. with us on the Matt Mosley show? Has anybody other than Tech, which is just, when we've now expect them to just dominate the portal. And because it's kind of like Signetti now when he gets quarterback, you're just like, okay, Hoover's probably going to win the Heisman now. Like he has that kind of credibility. Tech, when they get a defensive lineman, doesn't matter where it's from, right? You're just like, okay, that guy's going to be awesome. That guy will probably have 8 or 9 sacks next season. So and I think Blanchard, and you've documented that team, they deserve that program. Joey, they all deserve, and Cody, a lot of credit for. So they're almost in a different world when it comes to the portal. In the rest of the Big 12, we've seen what Eric Morris is doing. He's doing a Signetti-like thing and bringing a ton of those UNT kids with him. Signetti did that with the JMU kids to help him get a good running start at Indiana. Who of those other teams outside of Tech has kind of impressed you so far in the portal?
Indiana for sure. I think you mentioned Signetti. Indiana's after Tech, I think, is at the top of the list because they got their quarterback. They got Turbo Richard from Boston College, who was the leading rusher there. And they got Nick Marsh, who is an elite receiver, NFL draft type prospect down the road from Michigan State. And then they got a couple really quality edge rushers from Kansas State as well. So Indiana is a team that looks like it's reloading for a run in 2026. So I certainly think they're on that list. Oklahoma State, you mentioned Eric Morris. I think he's done a terrific job because when you hired him at Oklahoma State, I think that was one of the big questions everybody had. And if you're Chad Weiberg, the AD there, you probably have that question as well. Hey, can you bring your quarterback with you? Well, not only did he bring his quarterback, he brought Caleb Hawkins, who was coveted by just about anybody that needed a running back in the portal. Wyatt Young, who was also coveted by a lot of Power 4 programs as a receiver, and about a dozen more guys from that team that went 12-2. So, and it's not to say that, okay, you just import North Texas into Oklahoma State and everything works out, but Oklahoma State was 1-11 last year, and I talked to a GM who said he thought it was one of the worst rosters he had seen in the Power 4. And they need a talent injection, and they still have a lot of holes to fill now. They had 54 guys get in the portal, so they still, even though they've got like 20 something now, they still got a long way to go still. But he's off to a good start. I think Texas A&M has quietly had a nice start. They haven't gotten the big splash name, but they've gotten a lot of needs filled, and some, I think, under the radar guys. Anto Saka, the edge rush from Northwestern, they picked up yesterday. I thought that was a terrific addition for them. I thought they've done really well. Cal has done well. I think they've made some waves in the portal. So there's a handful of programs I think that have done well so far. But there's still time to go. There's still a little bit more than a week left with this thing open, and obviously guys have time to still make their decisions. Although if you're trying to get them in for the spring semester, there's a little bit of time crunch with your enrollment deadlines and all that. But those are the teams that have stood out to me so far.
All right, in this DeMond Williams situation in Washington, that's been an enormous story that will have a ripple effect on the rest of college football. Are these contracts enforceable? Some think it is. When the Big Ten starts getting behind you, you're like, well, maybe so. But then also, if LSU wants him, LSU is going to fight every battle in the world to get him. How do you see this playing out? Because some of the stuff coming from Coach Fish's wife and others, and now he's parted ways with his agent. It seems like it's pretty messy with Washington, so it's going to be a little hard and awkward going back there if he's somehow forced to return there. Will there be some sort of settlement, buyout? How do you see this thing ending?
Yeah, at this point, it feels like the toothpaste is out of the tube on him going back because, as you said, if you try to force him to stay, I don't know that it ends well for anybody. That said, I would forecast it to work out similarly to the way the Xavier Lucas situation worked out last year when Wisconsin did not want to put him in the portal after he had signed a redshirt deal, and then he ended up basically withdrawing from school and then enrolling at Miami, where he's playing now. I would imagine that if Washington does not put DeMond Williams' name in the portal, then he'll just withdraw, and then he can just transfer like a normal student, which is still within the rules. What the portal does, the requirement to go in the portal is teams are supposed to not contact you unless you're in the portal. Of course, we know tampering is really hard to enforce, and so I'm sure people will find a workaround for that. But that would be how I figure it will work out. Is DeMond will just end up withdrawing if he really wants to leave, and then enroll at the school of his choice. As far as the contracts go, I think you'll see some legal action. Wisconsin and Miami, they had a legal case with the Xavier Lucas situation, so I imagine that will be in play here as well if DeMond Williams ends up leaving. And the part about this that is really, I think, is the part to hone in on, and it's a difficult one to reconcile, is that if there's a buyout on the contract, that certainly needs to be fulfilled. But the issue, one of the key issues is can you write into a contract that someone can't leave when the NCAA bylaw says that if a athlete comes to the school and says, hey, I want to transfer, and gives written notification, they're supposed to put his name in the portal within 48 hours. That is a bylaw on the books. And so then it becomes a question of, can you basically sidestep an NCAA bylaw because you wrote it into a rev share contract? That's probably for legal people to answer. My guess is probably no. But there are also, again, like you said, there's ramifications that if they let him walk without having to fulfill the contract, or at least fulfill the buyout terms, which I think is really important here. I think even if he leaves, he still has to be on the hook for whatever buyout they wrote into it, and I think that's important. But whatever decision is made, as you said, will have an impact on the sport in the long term because it will set a precedent to a degree for others who want to end up in or happen to end up in that situation.
All right, and man, loved having you today. The last thing, tonight's game, it's finally here in Miami and Ole Miss. Joe Golding, who I'm sure you've crossed paths with, that was interesting yesterday, his comments. I think he was finally tired of hearing about Lane Kiffin. I thought he gave a really good answer to all that. But this is interesting that Miami has gone from nobody really giving them respect in those first two games to being a 3.5-point favorite. It's like Vegas needed to be somebody for them to prove it to them, right? And now it's like, oh, wait a second. They do have an unbelievable defense, and they do have an unreal running back in Mark Fletcher Jr. Which way are you leaning in this, and how do you see this playing out? Because while Ole Miss can win shootouts, Miami's going to try to keep that score down, and so we have a very, very fascinating matchup of a high-powered offense versus a great defense.
Yeah, I'm leaning Miami. I just think the way Mario Cristobal has built his team, which is from the inside out, line of scrimmage first, and it shows, I think that wins. That travels. Running game, offensive line play, defensive line play travels, and it wins in the postseason. And I think as long as Miami is smart and they don't get too cute offensively, which I thought they did at times when they played Texas A&M in that first-round game, I thought sometimes they got a little bit away from Mark Fletcher when it was very clear every time you gave him the football, he was getting 12, 14 yards. Like, keep feeding that guy. Against Ohio State, I thought Shannon Dawson did a much better job, was much more disciplined in his game plan, and fed Mark Fletcher. And at the end, Sharmar Brown to close that game out. I just think the defensive front that Miami has, we talked about Texas Tech's defensive line earlier. Miami's got that type of talent on the defensive line. And as long as they play the way they have played the first 2 weeks of the playoff, I just don't see anybody really beating them. I think even if they end up against Indiana, I think it's going to be really, really difficult for the Hoosiers to handle in the final. But I'm picking Miami so long that A, Carson Beck takes care of the ball, B, they run the ball early and often, because I think that defensive front is just a little bit too much for Ole Miss to handle.
Sam, great to have you. Man, look forward to reading whatever you write about the semifinals and then the portal. It never sleeps, does it? And the thing is, you're like, oh, I'm going to be safe till January 2nd, right? No, it started well before that. So you've been right in the middle of all of it, and really enjoy reading everything you're writing. And so I appreciate it. This has been a depressing time for Baylor fans because everybody's left. Which I laugh because I'm like, wait, y'all didn't like this team, and now you're mad that all these players are leaving, right? You're like, they go, wait, why are all these guys leaving? And the basketball team, which usually men's basketball is great at Baylor, that's not looking good. And so to get DJ Lagway, it's like everybody can walk outside again and make eye contact with people, and put on the
Hope springs eternal.
Put on the Sailor Bear.
I know, good to watch DJ this year for sure.
All right, Sam, I'll be in touch with you. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much. Take care. Have a good one.
You bet. There you go. Sam Kahn Jr. from The Athletic. It was he and Bruce Feldman who kind of teamed up to help. A lot of people were in on this story, but he and Bruce were very early to the game on this, and he's monitored Lagway since he was a sophomore, junior in high school, and wrote the big story on The Athletic. It's up right now. I encourage you to read it. He and Bruce Feldman wrote the initial story about the signing of DJ Lagway. And, he said kind of what I was saying earlier in the show, which is, yeah, maybe not the number 1 or 2 quarterback in the portal from just a ranking standpoint or projections. But if you're talking about like the most impressive looking dude, and the one that has like a ton of upside still, I don't think that's been wasted or that's ended at Florida. His story is still being written. And by the way, we'll see what happens at Baylor. But when you're 6'3", 230, and you have this kind of arm and this kind of athleticism, you are going to have chances in the NFL. And Spavital has a history of getting enormous numbers out of his quarterbacks. And I know it wasn't the year we had all hoped for from Sawyer Robertson, but he still threw for like close to the most yards in all of college football. They didn't play in a bowl game, and I forget how all that worked stats-wise, but he was right up there with the top yardage of anybody. And Sam just predicted that he will throw for more than 3,000 yards next season. Also interesting to hear him say he thinks the deal's probably in the $1.5 to $2 million range. We'll get that interview out there. We'll archive that and get it out there on YouTube and everywhere so y'all can see that. And, on Spotify and Apple, all the different places where you might follow our podcast. All right, that was good. We're going to continue on. Got a little more portal news, and then I want to get kind of hot and heavy into tonight's game. I want to start zeroing in because we have a major semifinal, and it happens at 6:30 tonight. That is next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
All right, it is Matt Mosley's show, and this is the time of the show. Well, we usually do it about 1:30, but we had major stuff going with DJ Lagway. We'll continue to talk about DJ Lagway. The big news, in case you're just joining us, DJ Lagway has committed to Baylor, the former 5-star quarterback. There he is, from Gator to the Bears. His numbers were not great last year. 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, turned the ball over too much. Had a coach that got fired in the middle of the season. So there were a lot of things that were happening. Let's not act like they surrounded him. He had good talent. He had good running backs. Had a couple of decent receivers. It was okay, but it was an uneven first couple of years for him. Does not mean he can't end. It used to be quarterbacks didn't even start till their junior or senior years. Now, if they're not good by their true freshman year. People are ready to move on from them. They treat it more like the NFL than ever, probably because they're paying these kids so much. Interesting, we just had Sam Kahn Jr. on, and he indicated he thought they probably landed DJ for in the $1.5 to $2 million range. Baylor certainly as a private school doesn't always put out, it's a little bit more difficult to get the numbers. The agents sometimes will leak those things out. So we'll see what folks say, but it was good to have Sam on and discuss the arrival of one Sam Kahn Jr. We got tonight, Ole Miss and Miami get it on, and it's like Vegas is finally decided, well, this Miami team might be pretty good. Although it's not like they gave A&M like a huge, I'm trying to think what A&M was favored by in that game. It was only like 3 or 4. I don't think it was 6. The A&M game in College Station, which is usually a place where they have an enormous advantage because of the crowd, the huge crowd there. But then the next game, they face Ohio State. In that game, Ohio State was favored by 9.5. In this game tonight, for whatever reason, because Lord knows this quarterback from Ole Miss is every bit as good, if not better, than Carson Beck. And some people would rank him, Bill Connolly ranked him as the second best player of the 4 teams. He did all the top 20 players from these 4 teams. It'll make Kevin mad. He had Mendoza third, our big Hoosier, Kevin Hall, producer of this fine show. He had 2 Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback at Ole Miss. Number 1, Reuben Bain, the big defensive lineman for Miami, who is awesome. I mean, he and Messidor are both just sack artists, just great. I mean, point of attack, and not your thin, fast, retracing defensive end. We're talking massive dudes who just create a problem immediately when you drop back to pass, and that's why the great Trinidad Chambliss has to unload that thing. But we've got tons of NFL talent involved in this game tonight, including Mark Fletcher Jr., the great running back from Ole Miss.
Was that a list based on this year in college?
He just said he just ranked them as the best players. Okay. Best players.
I totally get that. There's a way different thing between being a good college quarterback and being a good NFL quarterback. So I don't mind that. I mean, Chambliss can run all over the yard and play backyard football. You know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you have to look at it, but it was 1 through 20, and I was a little bit surprised because I honestly thought Mendoza, because of the Heisman, his leadership, how incredible of a person he is, the intangibles, would just automatically be number 1. And probably to get people to read this list, Conley did not do that. And Mendoza's number 3. But again, he's incredible. Chambliss is incredible. Bain is. It's funny. There's so many juniors. I call everybody junior, right? Because I'm like, wait, is Reuben Bain a junior? Is Trinidad is all these guys? But it's going to be fat. And I like Mendoza's family too, because he's got that brother who's the backup quarterback at Indiana, and then his parents seem really cool. They'll show the parents up there. They seem pretty neat. Yeah.
I think it's funny because you have the chance at some very Miami connections this year when the national championship is held in Miami, because Miami could be there. And Mendoza grew up in Miami. And I would say that looking at what I've seen, IU and Miami are very carbon copies of each other when it comes to both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. So
well, and Cristobal has huge Cuban roots, and I was reading some funny story about him where it was like, I think it was either his grandmother or one of his parents, and right before they passed, they basically said, if you ever take a trip to Cuba, we will come back from the grave to get you. Cuban Americans have some very big thoughts on Castro and Cuba and all that kind of stuff. But there's there's a lot of interesting connections there. Okay, without further ado, I mean, and again, this can be involved some more Lagway, wherever Kev wants to go with this. This was when Kevin Hall runs through some of our huge headlines as we get you ready for the college football semifinal. As I said, Kevin, the greatness of all this, and by the way, I was just looking at Alan Samuel's new notes, and I know we're going to have that new commercial on, Kevin. I saw Stephanie sent an email to both of us on. Wow. They had the end of the year sell, and I'll be talking about this in the coming days, but boy, Ted Teague and his gang out at Alan Samuels are doing some amazing things. And so I just want to make everybody know, I think you can still take advantage of some of the end of the year things they were doing, but you got to get out to Alan Samuels quickly. And then we're going to have all these new ads and everything that we're going to be able to share with you. And that's one of the things, Kevin, that we, in this YouTube, this brave new YouTube world, that we can do is actually show commercials, you know. And I think that's what a lot of our sponsors get excited about. They're like, wait, y'all can come and at Rogue and film a commercial for us? And we're like, yeah, we got people that can do that. Yeah. Now, that's not me. I think Kevin could probably help in that process. I think if you said, Mosley, can you go film a commercial for somebody? I mean, literally, I would come back with some really rough footage. It would not be award-winning. Last night late, I was watching by the way, do we need to take another break and then I sign off, or can I go to 55 with you?
Let's go to 55.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. I was watching the Martin Scorsese. I say Scorsese, but whatever. I see some people say Scorsese. I was watching the documentary on Apple, and that is cool to watch his life. And like, you're like, why does he write so well and direct so well the mafia? And it's like, well, because he literally grew up with mafia, right? Not his family per se, but in his neighborhood and everything. And they protected him a lot of times. And when he wanted to film one of his first movies, the mafia was in charge of this one neighborhood where he wanted to film. And he went to the head of the mafia in that section, and they said, oh yeah, Marty, you can do whatever you need. And they let him up on the rooftops, because back in the day, you could not go up on the rooftop of these places in New York because the mafia owned all of that stuff. Okay. And they you got to get permission to even be up there. And if you didn't have permission, you might get thrown off one of those rooftops. All right. Like happened in, was that a De Palma film? Untouchables. We lost Nitti. I think we lost Frank Nitti off the top of a building in Untouchables. So spoiler alert, even though that movie came out 30 years ago. That was fun. Connery, a young Costner. That was a great Andy Garcia. That was a great movie. He's in Landman right now, by the way. Okay, Kev.
All right.
Let's do some Campus Confidential. What's on your mind?
All right. Another underdog in college basketball lost the lead and then fell short in overtime with UConn and Providence. Did you watch that?
I did, but I turned over and I missed the first of the Baylor second half because I got so wrapped up in that. And I did not watch the OT. I watched Providence completely flake out, just like, as you mentioned, TCU did at Kansas. Providence was at home and had that thing and had a 9-point lead. And I was like, how are they going to lose this? And they did. Yeah. They absolutely did. I'm sorry. You texted me something about Providence earlier today. And Kevin, I honestly did not know what you were talking about. But now that you bring it up in this context, yes, I did see them squander that lead.
Crazy. All right. Missouri over Kentucky yesterday, 73-68 at Rupp. Kentucky was the preseason number 10, and now they're 9-6. And Missouri is 12-3. How crazy is that?
The good news is, and I kind of like that coach. I kind of like that Missouri coach, Gates, I think is his name. I like that guy. The good news is Kentucky fans are really patient, and they'll be fine with this. They'll just kind of take this in stride.
I'm sure
this is why patient. At Baylor is in a bad place right now in basketball, and Scott has accomplished so much that even though it's going to be not fun, and they may start 0-6 here, and it's going to be ugly, Scott's fine. All right. Scott can be allowed to go through a down season. It worries me if Kentucky gets off to like a 1-5 start or 1-6 start in conference, they will turn on this dude so quickly. And I don't think you can. He might survive one bad season, but that's all. That's all. And there'll be a ton of Kentucky people ready to run him out of town. And that's why Scott made the right decision to stay at Baylor, because Calipari, they were ready to be done with Calipari, and all Calipari did is produce about 50 first-rounders, right, over about a 15-year period. Calipari wins a national title, plays in some other Final Fours, and produces the greatest NBA talent of any coach in the history of college basketball. And Kentucky could not wait to get him out of there. And they replace him with an old Kentucky player who played for Pitino, and he's a nice guy, but he had never really won anything at BYU. And then BYU replaces him and then becomes Daddy Warbucks. And they're basically, I forget who their Cody Campbell is, but it may be like those restaurant people, the people that help keep Kalani Sitake. But the Mormons stick together. And this is a great BYU team. In fact, the team, Iowa State, to me, looked pretty bad last night. Now, Taman Lipsey played great in the second half, and Jefferson played unbelievable the whole game. He's a great player. He had like 19 points and 17 rebounds. He's awesome. The rest of Iowa State, I was not very impressed. Baylor let one get away. Had a great chance to win that game. And Baylor, you talked about the shooting. There's just no semblance of an offense. They don't have a point guard. Skillings made some just horrific turnovers during one phase of the game. Scott doesn't know where to turn on this team. There's no Ratai doesn't give you any offense. Skillings is okay on offense. Tunde and Carr have great ability, but they don't really have anybody to create for them and set them up. So they got to go get their own shots. And so they settle for bad shots. It's not a good basketball team. This is not anywhere close to a conference, to a tournament team, NCAA tournament team. I hate to say it because I haven't said that since 2000. God, they haven't missed the NCAA tournament. They had the COVID year, obviously, but I don't think they've missed the tournament since I don't know. Maybe there was one year back 2013 or 12. I don't know. But they always, I know those teams were even good. They always go to the tournament. And this team does not resemble in any possible way a tournament team. And it kills me. It kills me. It really does. 2018. I was going to say 2017. I'm glad I didn't. 2018 was the last time they didn't go to the NCAA tournament. And I don't know why that was, because they got great again in 2019 and 20. Mm-hmm. Who was on the 2018 team?
Good question.
What I'm wondering is that's about the time, one of those years, 2016, they did a really nice job of their big man got hurt, and Tristan, and they had to, on the fly, become a 3-point shooting team, and they did it, and they put that thing back together. That was like the 2016-17 team.
Yeah, but 17-18, you got King McClure, Jake Lindsey, Mark Vidal, Tristan Clark. So there you go.
You're saying that team didn't go to the?
That team didn't. That was the 17-18
because
team.
Jake and King and them did make it to the Sweet 16, because I was there in New York one of those years when Vidal was still really young. So they win the 2021 championship, and Vidal was on that team. So the team you're describing, Vidal had to be a freshman.
Freshman, yep.
Yeah. So Vidal's sophomore year, they go to the Sweet 16.
Yep.
And Lindsey was on that team. King was on that team.
Remember the days where you would retain talent?
I know. Those were the old. Hey, you know who does it? Iowa State does.
Yeah.
Taman Lipsey's been there for a long time. Jefferson was there last year and this year. I mean, like they do. Momcilovic.
Yep.
That play-by-play guy last night for Peacock. Come on, man. We got to get Momcilovic. He's been around for a while now. We got to get that right. All right, continue, sir.
Last one then, before we take it off into the night. Speaking of retaining talent, Oregon running back Jaden Lamar entering the transfer portal ahead of the semifinal match with Indiana. Should students be allowed to enter the portal while their teams are still playing? The same question should be asked about Lane Kiffin, and that will take us into Ole Miss. Take it away.
Wait, remind me. Okay, Lamar plays for who, and what's his deal?
So he's the third on the depth chart, right?
Who?
For Oregon. And
okay, but like, has he been playing in these games?
He's been playing little bits and pieces because they've had some injuries at running back, but now Whittingham will be the only running back that they have because I forget their other guy is out.
But is this guy going to? Because you can go in the portal but still play in the CFP. Is he going to play in the game tomorrow night?
I don't know.
Well, now you got me interested. What's this kid's name?
It is Jaden Lamar, Limar.
Oh, Limar. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is weird. The headline for Barstool Sports is "Make It Make Sense."
That's what I'm asking of you. Make it make sense, Matt.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, here's the deal. There was a quarterback last year from like SMU who went in the portal, but he still played as the backup. The Penn State backup, who then ended up being played for Virginia. No. It wasn't Virginia. Where did that guy go this year? The backup he became a pretty good quarterback this year in college football, but he felt horrible about it. But he announced that he was going in the portal and he left the team. You don't have to leave the team if you go in the portal. So I guess my question on this kid is he going to play? Let's see. Jeff Schwartz says, oh boy, Davison is out. Lamar and Hughes in the portal. Oregon down to 2 running backs for Indiana.
Yep.
Jeez.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not cool. Out because it says Jordan Davison and Jaden Lamar are out for this game. Yep. Makai Hughes, wide receiver. Jeez. Okay.
Davison is injured, so he got injured in the last game
against Tech. Okay. Yeah,
but Lamar just saying, you know what? I'm third string, whatever. I'm out. Should they be allowed to do that? And the same question could be asked of the coaches as well. Can we get some regulation? What do you think?
Well, I mean, we've sort of been through this. I think the whole calendar would have to change, and that's the only thing that could eliminate it. And they would still try to get these coaches to commit. But if you had a situation where you started the season earlier and you literally finished the college football season on January 1, and then the portal opens after that, it could clean up some of this. It could clean up a little bit of this because now you've got portal chaos happening while the teams are playing. Now, it doesn't seem to be distracting Indiana. Indiana's putting together a monster portal class while getting ready to play in the semifinal.
Right, but we'll see because they've been playing, so they haven't played a game yet since the portal's open, and so we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, but they don't have. There's no reports of them having players they might need going in the portal. So I think they're fine.
But winning helps, and so that would be the other side of it. Is you don't need as much help in the portal and all that stuff if you're winning, and so you're not at a disadvantage because you're winning, and so that attracts talent, keeps talent.
Yes, you're right about that. It's sad, but it's just going to keep happening until there are some guidelines. There are no guardrails. And I laugh in college basketball because the people, as you said the other day, that were known for cheating are the ones out there demanding guardrails. Yeah, it is crazy. I'm sorry. We had a little breaking news in the NFL with the Cowboys, and somebody that covers the Cowboys was reaching out to me, and it's about an O-line coach that I was good friends with from my days of covering Parcells. So I'm trying to I'll have to get to the bottom of that and see.
Breaking news, huh?
Yeah. I gotta get my old radio breaking news sound. And we can, I'm going to see, here's the only way I can get it. If they still use it, if they still use it, I'm not going to try to steal it from them. If it's been retired, I need it back, right?
Right.
Aaron Sexton, my longtime producer. So anyway, we'll get.
Let's get to tonight, though. You wanna play
the show's almost over. I see what you're saying.
Pete Golding.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I liked Pete Golding Jr. Everybody's a junior, but I think he is a junior. I kind of liked what he had to say when he was asked about, something about Lane Kiffin and what it's been like, and, for everybody to doubt you and to perform like you are. And Pete Golding Jr. had enough. I kind of liked his answer to this. I kind of like his attitude. And I kind of like Trinidad Chambliss going into this game, although how can you bet against the Miami Hurricanes when week after week they prove everybody wrong? I'll tell you after this clip. I'll give you my take on this game, but I want to hear Pete Golding Jr., his reaction to being asked about Lane Kiffin, who was the head coach at Ole Miss before leaving for LSU.
Team had a message. They had a message about how they prepared and how they play, and that they weren't tired of playing. And I do think the message is, I'm replaceable, you're replaceable, our players are replaceable. Right? I think you want to build a program to where it's heading in the right direction, and one person, one player, or anything like that's not going to derail that. There's been too much invested in that, and it's been aligned correctly that one person is not going to impact something so drastically. If it is, it's probably not built right. The only thing that was different is who's running out of the tunnel. And to be honest with you, I don't think the players give a damn who runs out of the tunnel. All right, does it make sense? They care about their plan. They care about getting held accountable, right, and how they're going to prepare. And they care about people that care about them, all right? And I think that's been the message our players have created. But I don't have to say to anybody.
I like that. And boy, did you cut him off, Kevin, when he said the S-bomb? Did he get the S-bomb in there?
That's the clip I found. It was already cut.
Nice.
And look at that face. Like, if that face doesn't say, hey, forget Lane Kiffin, I'm here, he's not.
If my hair had turned gray, and it will maybe someday, I hope. I mean, I don't want it to, but it will. I think I'd kind of have this look, kind of let it kind of flow around and get a little curly and stuff. Fortunately, his went gray early because this guy's only like 40 years old or 41 years old. This is a young guy. But my grandfather, my mom's mom, his hair went white when he was like, your hair is supposed to be like your mom's dad, I think. And my grandfather on that side went white when he was literally like 28 years old. And mine's still dark or still brown, whatever. Anyway, that's nor here nor there. As we come to the end of the show, and by the way, it's time for the landing. The Brazos Landing. Thank you, Lindsay family. We love you. Let's get C&B up there too. I love that. I mean, can we do it at the same time? Can we do the C&B and the Brazos? Is that not? Okay, we don't have that capability. Oh, we have to get to C&B really little. Okay, I see it up there. I've got to put my glasses on to see it again. Central National Bank, I think, is our presenting sponsor. They deserve a bigger one than that. But hey, while we're talking about the landing, the Bang Bang Shrimp, the chicken fried steak. Oh my gosh, the everything that comes, the BLT. Oh, the maples, the maple honey, maple syrup. It's unbelievable, that BLT. I get my bacon crispy on that. Tonight, 6:30. Miami and Ole Miss getting on. Let me tell you This is how I wanted to look this up for you, Kevin, because I think it piqued your interest. These are the top 20 players who must be responsible for giving. Each team occupies 5 spots. Okay, so they look back at the 20 or so players who were most responsible for giving us this pair of semifinal matchups. Okay, Kevin. So earlier I didn't give you the full methodology. These guys were most responsible for their teams showing up in these matchups tonight and tomorrow night. Reuben Bain Jr., Miami, number 1. Let's 2 games, 10 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 2 run stops, 16 pressures in 2 games.
Yep.
He gets number 1.
Yep.
Dad Chambliss, 53 for 75, 644 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8.5 yards per drop back, 91.5 total QBR. And then your man, Fernando Mendoza, see, he didn't have to work that hard because Indiana ran Alabama off the field. He was 14 for 16, 192 yards, 3 TDs, 8.7 yards per drop back, a 96.7 total QBR.
He only played 1 series in the 4th quarter.
He was great, but he didn't have to work as hard because they crushed Alabama. And then the Alabama coach got up there and said, "We're right there. It's this close." Okay.
Sounds like Chris Ballard.
Number 4. Will you stop with it? I mean, bringing him into
throw him under the bus.
Running back, number 4, running back Mark Fletcher Jr., running back from Miami, and then the linebacker from Ole Miss. We don't mention a lot of Ole Miss defensive players. Suntarine Perkins. He is the linebacker, 12 tackles through 2 games, 4.5 TFLs, 1 sack, 4 run stops, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Whoa. Suntarine Perkins. And then Akeem Massador from Miami, the defensive end, 3 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, 11 pressures. That's unbelievable that those defensive ends are that great.
Did Pat Coogan make the list? He was the offensive player of the year in the player.
It's hard to measure offensive tackles, sir. Centers. I'm sorry, he's a center. It's hard because we don't have really stats other than lack of sacks. But Devin Boykin, the DB from Indiana, 7 tackles, 2.5 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 pressure. He's the 7th best. And then
he was my player of the game in the Rose Bowl.
They had ahead of Coogan.
Yep.
Right guard Bray Lynch, number 8, 0 blown blocks in 66 snaps. They said, we're giving Lynch a shout out here. The 2-year starter was statistically perfect against the Crimson Tide. So I think you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. I'm not going to – you're good, but I don't think you sat there and graded out the right guard in that game.
No, I did not. Although I did watch both running backs run for a touchdown and almost 100 yards apiece.
Other players who we'll see tonight, okay? We'll do a lot of Indiana. So tomorrow we're going to tap into your Indiana brain, and you need to be heavily prepared, which I know you will be. For tonight, Kewan Lacey, the Ole Miss running back, Lucas Carnero, the kicker for Ole Miss. 5 for 5 on field goals of 40-plus yards, 2 for 2 from 50-plus. Big-time weapon. I think that's good that they mentioned him. Markel Bell, the left tackle for Miami, big-time player. He was mentioned as the 20th best player of these 4 teams. Miami is here because of the ground game, and he is a big-time. This guy at left tackle, 6'9", 345 pounds for Miami, the Hurricanes tonight. All right, last thing as we sign off today. It's been a fun day. Great guest, Sam Conn Jr. We'll load up with guests tomorrow. Don't you worry. And as we get ready for Indiana and Oregon, the rematch. DJ Lagway. Kevin, put his face up there one last time. Bears land DJ Lagway. No, that's Golding Jr. There he is. What we really need to be closing out is with like the Baylor fight song. I mean, this is huge news for the Bears. They desperately needed a big win, It's been basketball horrible news. They may start 0-6. Women are fine. Men are rough right now. Portal was like everybody was leaving. There was just a few people kind of coming in. It was interesting players, but they get their big-time name and quarterback, DJ Lagway. Sam Conn Jr. telling us he thinks it's probably somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million for Lagway. He doesn't know this for sure, but that's what his gut is telling him. DJ Lagway, when it comes to just ability, measurables, body type, ain't nobody better. Nobody better in all these portal guys. That includes Sorsby, Levitt, Williams, whoever you want to throw out there. This man right here. And so while I didn't think it was the right move at the time, and I thought they're going to have to commit too much money to him, and then that was going to cut back on who they could bring in around him, I am excited. Okay, that doesn't mean I can't be excited for them to bring in a big name. It is. Oh, there he is with Dave Aranda. This is the moment. Let me see if I can tap into my Dave Aranda. This is the moment. He said, DJ, come here. I'll give you $2 million, and you will win for us, for the Bears, and you will help me keep my job moving forward. And we will commit to you forever, and we will make you a top 10 draft pick in the NFL. We hope to have you, and we're very excited to have you as part of the Baylor Bears. There it is. Dave Aranda, inside the mind of Aranda, inside that conversation right there in the Foster Pavilion. Thanks for everybody who's been a part of this. If you're following us on Twitter, please go over and subscribe to YouTube. All right? I think we're measured by YouTube somehow. Please do that. And then you can comment, and then we'll put your comments up on the screen. Been a great day. Been a great day on the Mosley Show. And we'll continue to react to any Baylor news. Okay, Kevin, I know we need to go. I just wanted to make one. I want to make sure we didn't get one last Baylor. Like, we've had such great Baylor news. Let me just check real quick to end the show to make sure we don't have any other stragglers. Anybody else followed our man into the portal?
If he is 1.5 or 2, that means he took a pay cut from Florida.
What did he make at Florida?
3, I think. 2, in the neighborhood of 2 to 3.
It doesn't sound like you're totally sure about this.
Well, just the information I looked up. It was said
okay.
It was in the neighborhood of 3.
Okay. I mean, sometimes you have to step back to move forward. Okay, that's good. But that's good. That's good. That's quality stuff there, Kev. I don't want to sound like a smart A. Sawyer, Jake Spavital's last 4 starting quarterbacks. This according to Grayson was retweeting this a little earlier from Siegmund 365. Fernando Mendoza, he had 1 year with him. He had over 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 63% completion. He had Will Greer at West Virginia. Goodness gracious, 7,300 yards, 71 touchdowns, 66%. He had Davis Webb. Was that a Cal? From where was he when he had Davis Webb? Anyway, 4,200 yards, 4,300 yards, 37 touchdowns, 62%. And then I said Mendoza, and then Sawyer ended up with, in 2 years, 6,700 yards, 59 touchdowns, 61%. Okay, Spav usually gets this thing done. Spav, are you out there? Are you watching this show like you used to? Having a little trouble getting a hold of Spav these days. Somebody tell Spav to jump on here on the Mosley Show. It is the Mosley Show. We got Doug McNamee scheduled to come on with us Monday, the Baylor's new AD. Great news on DJ Lagway. Tomorrow, we got some things lined up for you. Join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Kevin Hall, my new producer, doing excellent work today on graphics and everything else. Tomorrow, he is a huge Indiana. He's a graduate and a huge fan. And so as Indiana gets ready to have that rematch with Oregon, we'll tap into that Indiana Hoosiers brain tomorrow. For Kev and Rogue Media Network, I am Matt Mosley. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock straight up.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you get a call saying they're going to lock you in jail for missing jury duty unless you pay a fine, that's fake. Scammers use scare tactics to force you to act without thinking. Just hang up the phone.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit PropMoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit VivoSun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.